Good morrow everyone, Silvershire here, and after 5 years I have finally surpassed 100 subscribers, which is an amazing milestone. To celebrate, I wanted to try something that I haven't done on this channel yet, a game review. But the question is, what game do I choose? What game could possibly be worthy of this momentous occasion? So I thought, and eventually I came to the answer. All of them. That's right, in this video, I'm going to review every game I own. Kind of. The title of this video is actually a bit of a lie, because I'm only going to be reviewing the games on my Xbox One and Nintendo Switch, since those are the systems that I still play regularly. I'm also not counting trials or games that I have on physical disc, because that would require, finding a physical disc. So, that leaves us with Apex Legends, Origami Shadow Edition, ARMS, AC2, AC Brotherhood, AC Revelations, AC3, AC Liberation, AC4, AC Freedom Cry, AC Syndicate, AC Chronicles China, AC Chronicles India, AC Chronicles Russia, AC Origins, AC Odyssey, AC Valhalla, Banner Saga, Brawlhalla, Brothers: A Tale of Two Sons, Castlevania Symphony of the Night, Devil May Cry 5, Dungeon Siege 3, Final Fantasy 15, Fortnite, unfortunately, Hearthstone, Hyperscape, Hyrule Warriors Age of Calamity, Injustice 2, Killer Instinct, Lara Croft and the Guardian of Something or Other, Lara Croft and the Temple of Osiris, The Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild, Lego Batman 3, Lego Jurassic World, Lego Hobbit, Lego Marvel Superheroes, Marvel vs. Capcom Infinite, the creatively titled Marvel's Avengers, Marvel's Guardians of the Galaxy, a Telltale series, Middle-earth Shadow of Mordor, Middle-earth Shadow of War, Might and Magic Clash of Heroes, Minecraft Dungeons, Mirror's Edge, Overwatch, Phantom Dust, Portal 2, Realm Royale, Shantae Half Genie Hero, Smite, Sonic and All-Stars Racing Transform, Soulcalibur 6, The Amazing Spider-Man 2, Star Wars Jedi Fallen Order, Star Wars Battlefront 2, Star Wars Squadrons 6, Super Mario Maker 2, Super Smash Bros. Ultimate Ultra Super Street Fighter 4 3D Arcade Edition, Volt Turbo HD Remix, The New Challengers, Tetris 7, Tetris 99, and Titanfall 2! I said Tetris 7, didn't I? Alright, again from the top. I'm not a fan of the Battle Royale genre. I could probably dedicate a whole video to the reasons why, but the short version is that there's just so much waiting for so little reward. You have to wait to join a lobby, then you have to wait for other people to join the lobby, then you have to wait for your team to pick characters, then you have to wait for the map to load, then you have to wait for the helicarrier to let you drop, then you have to wait to hit the ground, and then you wander for sometimes upwards of 20 minutes before you finally find someone, but the actual fight lasts about 5 seconds because everyone dies so quickly. It's a real shame because the actual gunplay and parkour feel really great. I just wish Respawn would take those mechanics and make more of a traditional FPS. Maybe one with giant mechs you could pilot. Origami is a game that totally flew under my radar when it was first announced, but was recently one of Xbox Live's free with gold games, so I gave it a shot and I am so glad I did. I can't remember the last time I've been so pleasantly surprised by a game. The gameplay reminds me a lot of something like Assassin's Creed, but with a couple of key differences. The first is that stealth is your only option. The origami dies in one hit and has no way of blocking, so your only hope is to run and hide, or hope that you can stab your target before he draws his sword. Thankfully, this is made easier by the game's second distinguishing feature, Shadow Magic. The origami can teleport to anywhere that a shadow is being cast, which adds a layer of complexity to the typical hiding in bushes or around corners that you find in many stealth games. The highly saturated, almost papercraft aesthetic of the environment is not only beautiful and unique, but also makes it very easy to distinguish between light and shadow, which could be more frustrating in a realistic art style. The story and world building are intriguing, though the twist at the end of the game is something that I saw coming from miles away. All in all, I can't recommend this game enough, and I'm excited to see what Origami 2 has in store. It's introducing a combat system and overhauling the graphics, both of which worry me, but I trust the developers to make an amazing sequel. This game has less depth than a children's swimming pool, but it's probably the most fun that I've had with the Switch's motion controls, plus it's not half bad as a workout. I'm going to review the Ezio trilogy as one package, because even though there are some important differences between them, my feelings about the three games are all pretty similar. And this is gonna be an unpopular opinion, but I don't think they've held up very well. But I know, but just hear me. Hey, who threw that? This was a brand new Hey, stop it. Listen. The characters are great, the setting is great, the story is great, and the music is especially great, but in my opinion, the gameplay just doesn't hold up anymore. You have to hold down like 4 different buttons, just a free run, and the jump button is the same as the climb button, which leads to Ezio constantly doing exactly what you don't want him to do. And this wouldn't be so bad if the games weren't full of missions that make you parkour under a time limit, meaning you're out of luck when Ezio decides to yeet himself off a building for no reason. Combat is equally clunky, especially in 2. Revelations improved the controls somewhat, but if anything, that just made it worse because it reminded me of how close we were to the Kenway saga, and I spent the entire game just waiting to get there. Speaking of which, there's a turkey in an assassin hood, 10 out of 10. In all seriousness, I don't have a whole lot to say about this one. It's not my favorite Assassin's Creed by any means, but I like it well enough. I know a lot of people disliked Connor as a protagonist, but I think that's just because he had the unfortunate luck of coming in between Ezio and Edward, who are 2 of the most charismatic characters ever. Personally, I find his more stoic nature to be refreshing, and I also enjoyed the American Revolution setting a lot more than I expected to. This is a spin-off of Assassin's Creed 3 that was originally exclusive to the PS Vita, and you can tell. It's pretty short, the environment isn't very interactive, and a lot of assets have been lifted from other games. But Aveline is a fun character, the ability to switch between different personas is an interesting gimmick, and considering it's free with either Assassin's Creed 3 Remastered or the Assassin's Creed Odyssey Season Pass, I really can't complain. This is by far my favorite Assassin's Creed game, and easily one of my top 10 favorite games of all time, maybe even top 5. Black Flag is a masterpiece. I recently played through the entire thing for a second time, which will eventually turn into a video, I hope, but editing that is quite the endeavor. And it still holds up super well. The story is deeply emotional, the music and environments are breathtaking, the gameplay takes all the best parts of 3 and improves upon them, and the acting is top-notch. Plus, it's an amazing pirate game without sacrificing any of the classic Assassin's Creed elements. This is the first Assassin's Creed game that I ever played, and it was the best possible introduction to the series. As much as I love talking about Assassin's Creed, we don't have all day, and I'm still on the first letter of the alphabet, so I'm gonna try to speed through the next few. Unlike Liberation, this was not a big departure from the game upon which it was based. This is just more Black Flag, and I'm all about it. This is probably my second favorite Assassin's Creed. The Fry Twins are great, and the combat is the best in the whole series, except maybe Unity, but I haven't played that one. This is a neat idea, but it's a little too frustrating. This is a neat idea, but it's a lot too frustrating. This is a neat idea, but I am going to throw my Xbox out the window. I didn't like this game at first, but I think that's just because I was still getting used to the RPG formula. It was fascinating to see the origins of the Brotherhood, and the final scene with Bayek and Aya always gives me chills. This really doesn't feel like an Assassin's Creed game, but I still love it. I hope we see more of Cassandra at some point. This is somewhat of a return to form for the series, and I think it's probably the strongest of the Ancient Trilogy for it, though I only completed it a few days ago, so I'll have to wait and see how it stands the test of time. Phew. Alright, that's A taken care of. Now we can finally move on to B.
There's a B?
I liked this game at first, but there's a level that freezes every time I get to it, so... I haven't played much of this, but it's a decent little platform fighter, especially for a free game. The emphasis on weapons is a nice way to differentiate it from Smash Bros, though I can't say I'm a big fan of the character designs, especially compared to something like Rivals of Aether. Also, keep Walking Dead characters out of fighting games. Looking at you, Tekken. This is less of a game and more of an experience. Brother's main distinguishing feature is its control scheme. It may look like a co-op game, but it's actually single-player, and you control the 2 characters simultaneously, one with each side of the controller. It does some really interesting things with this concept, but I can't really get into it without spoilers. Also be warned, this is not the innocent little adventure game it looks like. What is this video? A miserable little pile of game reviews. But enough talk! Like and subscribe! I never played the first 4, or technically 5, but we don't talk about DMC, Devil May Cry games. They always sort of interested me, but the series seemed intimidating to get into. So, when Devil May Cry 5 got a free demo, I thought it was the perfect opportunity to check it out. I wasn't very good, which is, you know, to be expected, but I was having a blast fighting demons and rocking out to the soundtrack. Which, by the way, props to this game for making the most 13-year-old edgelord lyrics sound unironically cool. I mean, seriously, what other game could get away with my family crest is a demon of death without being turned into a huge meme? Anyway, when it came time to fight the game's first boss, Goliath, I got wrecked, but I wasn't gonna let that get me down. So I tried again, and it brought me to the beginning of the 30-minute level. I mean, seriously? Being difficult is one thing, but it is absolutely unacceptable for a game that came out in the year of our Lord 2019 to not have checkpoints. Even Dark Souls has checkpoints. Come on. This is an excellent action platformer with surprising narrative and emotional depth. You should definitely check it out. I don't remember this game very well, but I remember loving it. This game is alright as long as you stop playing it about halfway through. This game should be classified as an addictive substance.
Yikes, 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 and let me guess, you have a great personality.
I'm not really a fan of the Warriors subgenre of action games, so I passed on the first Hyrule Warriors and initially did the same on this, but then I received it as a Christmas gift, and my, oh my, is it fun. After putting hundreds of hours into Breath of the Wild, this feels like a well-deserved power fantasy. The gameplay is fun and surprisingly varied, and the story gave me everything I hoped for from a Breath of the Wild prequel, even though I know it's not everyone's cup of tea. I 100%ed the game within a week or two of starting it and had a blast doing so. Plus, it's one of the few games that still has couch co-op, which is greatly appreciated, even though it's a little janky. Injustice was already a great fighting game, and Injustice 2 massively improved upon its predecessor in every way, with excellent graphics, finely tuned gameplay, a high-quality story, and perhaps best of all, a gear system that gives you a constant sense of progress and makes you want to keep coming back for more. Plus, what other game lets you smack Batman into a dinosaur? This is far from the best fighting game I've ever played, but considering it's free, I can't really complain. It lacks polish and variety, but the actual combat is pretty solid, and the focus on huge combos makes it easy to get some hype moments. It's the sort of game that greatly benefits from hanging out with your friends in real life while you play it, which is why I rarely play it. Lara Croft and the Guardian of Light and Lara Croft and the Temple of Osiris are top-down puzzle games with a dash twin-stick shooter. They were fun, but for various reasons, I never ended up finishing them. They just didn't really hook me enough. I do like that they lean so heavily into the supernatural side of the Tomb Raider verse, though. Hey guys, have you heard of this little indie game called The Legend of Zelda? You should check it out, it's pretty good. You know exactly what you're getting into when you buy a LEGO game. It won't be anything you haven't seen before, but it will have a lot of content and a nice layer of polish. LEGO Batman 3 is my personal favorite LEGO game because of the enormous roster and all the surprisingly deep cuts to DC lore. Hot take, this game isn't bad. I mean, maybe my opinion is swayed by the fact that I got it super on sale, but I genuinely don't think it deserves all the hate. I never played the earlier Versus games, so I wasn't faced with the same disappointment over a shrinking roster that longtime fans were, and could instead look at it as its own entity. The story is cheesy, and the character models are rough in some places, but the actual combat is good, and the Infinity Stones are an interesting gimmick. I would still play this game regularly if anyone else did. This game is fun when it works, but it has enough bugs to keep a spider fed for a lifetime, and the post-launch content has been slower and more underwhelming than... this punchline. This is a Telltale game. If you like them, you'll like it. If you don't, you won't. This game was a big departure from those that came before it. Instead of using a historical setting as its backdrop, it takes place in a high fantasy setting, where an assassin named Talion must keep a Ring of Eden safe from the Orcs, an army of monsters created by the Templar Wait, this isn't an Assassin's Creed game? Could have fooled me. In all seriousness, I really like Shadow of Mordor and Shadow of War, which I'm going to review as a pair because I played them back to back and they kind of blur together in my mind. Despite my jokey intro, the game does have some really cool and unique mechanics, such as the domination and nemesis systems, which create a dynamic social web between you and all the orcs. If you're a fan of Tolkien's Legendarium, this game is a bit of a mixed bag, because on the one hand, it utilizes elements of the books that aren't touched upon in the Peter Jackson movies, such as Celebrimbor, but it also takes some major liberties with the source material, such as making Shelob a pretty lady. Personally, I just loved having a game like this set in the Lotterverse, even if it stretches canon in some places. I'm an Xbox pleb, so this is the best I can get. I'm unfamiliar with the mainline Might and Magic series, but I really liked this spin-off. It's sort of like a gem matching game, mixed with chess, mixed with Yu-Gi-Oh! Or something, but not as weird and unintuitive as that combination sounds. Also, for some reason, I really like the art style. It's nothing unique, but something about the character design just sticks in my head. Hey guys, have you heard of this little indie game called Minecraft? You should check it out, it's pretty good. Gauntlet Legends and Gauntlet Dark Legacy were some of the biggest parts of my childhood, and this basically feels like Gauntlet with a Minecraft skin. It takes itself surprisingly seriously despite being a game about little brick men, and some of the areas have genuinely spooky or intimidating atmospheres. I really liked it, but leveling up is a real grind, especially in the post-game. I had high hopes of getting my character to max levels so that I would be prepared for the DLC, but after I realized just how much of it was standing in front of a mob spawner and holding down the A button, I dropped it pretty quick. More like migraine's edge, am I right? Overwatch is truly a game unlike any other. Battlefront started this channel, but Overwatch made it what it is. I'll be the first to admit that I don't play very much anymore, and I definitely have some problems with the decisions that Blizzard has made with this game, but that doesn't mean that I love it any less than I used to, and Overwatch 2 being on the horizon has reignited my excitement for this franchise. I own this game? Apparently? I seriously could not tell you a single thing about it. The gameplay is too repetitive for my liking, but it has a really cute art style and an absolute banger of a soundtrack, which is made even better by Christina V and Nathan Sharp actually voicing characters in the game. Hashtag Shantae for Smash. It's full of beautifully crafted, well thought out levels that clearly had a ton of love and care put into them, and also Tasseltown. I don't like MOBAs, and this didn't change that. I do love the puns, though. Whoever came up with Loki Charms and Aphrodite deserves a promotion. Worse Mario Kart. Soulcalibur is, without a doubt, my favorite video game series of all time, and Soulcalibur 6 may very well be my favorite Soulcalibur of all time. I could dedicate multiple whole videos to my love for this series, and, you know, I may very well do that at some point. But for now, just know that my decision to pick up Soulcalibur 2 fundamentally changed my life. This franchise has been so important to me over the years. Soulcalibur 6 is not only a masterpiece in its own right, but it represents a turning point for the series after the underperforming Soulcalibur 5. I, like many others, feared that this series ended many years ago, but thanks to the love and dedication of Motohiro Okubo and everyone else at Project Soul, the future has never looked brighter. If you take anything away from this video, please play Soulcalibur. Give yourself a chance to fall in love with this game like I have. This is a good game. I wish it was longer, but I feel like I got my money's worth. If you haven't yet, please go watch my video on Fallen Order, because I think it's probably the best thing on this channel.
Nice! How's it feel to get hit in the face with a rocket? Ow!
This wasn't that great, but it holds a special place in my heart for being the first online game I ever played, and the first thing I ever uploaded to this channel. The campaign is decent, and the graphics are amazing, but everything else is a downgrade from its predecessor. I completed this game over a free weekend, and that's really the only way to play it. It badly needs third person. I downloaded this game, but I haven't gotten around to playing it yet. This was actually the first Mario game I played, which was a trial by fire to be sure, but I enjoyed it. Imagine needing to land multiple hits to get a KO. This post was made by Ganondorf Gang. I don't really get why Street Fighter is so popular. I mean, I know it created the fighting game genre, and it deserves major respect for that, but I think so many other games have surpassed it by now. The gameplay is spammy, the roster is full of clones, and the character design and art direction are just really unappealing to me. Everyone has giant hands and feet and ugly faces, and there's particle effects all over the screen. Tekken 7 really disappointed me for reasons that I don't feel like getting into at the moment, but Tekken is an excellent fighting game, so even bad Tekken is still pretty good.
Wow, that is delicious. Finally, some good
Battle Royale. Can you believe that Respawn not only took my advice, but went back in time to make it a thing? Oh boy, that was a lot of games. So, thank you so much for watching this video. I hope you enjoyed, and until next time, I bid thee farewell.
Come on, follow me into the plant. Oh man.
I'll annihilate
Right,
you.
come on! Yes! Oh, he was prepared for a Jedi, but not for a plant.
Clucky, whatever you do, don't back up.